This is the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast.
Oh no! We suck again!
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games.
It is caught by Kelsey! Touchdown! Kansas City!
Anthony for three. Bang!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ruckus and the Menace Sports Podcast. I am Ruckus, always and anyways going to cause a ruckus.
And I am Ruckus the Menace.
And tonight, or whenever you're watching
this episode, anyway.
Yep. On this episode, we're going to have our off-topic beginnings, the Clint Eastwood segment, Good, Bad, and Ugly. Obviously, starting lineup, can't forget about that, even though I literally just skimmed over it. The film room with our football pick'ems. The High Heat, where we discuss the games that happened on NFL Week 3. And then our color commentary, where the topic is TV gimmicks, which we'll get into a little bit later. And then Stud and Dud of the Week. And, man, to start things off with the pregame warm-ups, we were literally just, spending a couple hours trying to help. I was trying to, struggle bus this whole,
We are struggle bussing on a PC right now.
Dude, I'm struggling so hard trying to figure out what's going on with it, and so it makes it even harder when you're doing it remotely, because he's in, West Virginia.
West Virginia, yep.
And I'm in Kansas City, so that's a good... So if I was to take a road trip to this man, it would take more than a day, 15-hour drive from where I am.
You would have 2 full work days of driving just to get here.
And then I was also looking at plane tickets, but then I was like, good lord. Let's take a rain check on that too. So, personally, I think it's, we'll figure it out later, but I think it might just, we'll look into it. But other than that,
yeah, we are rain checking on the PC at this point, not because it can't be built, it's just, the issue is that we are having a power issue. And
yeah.
It is that we can get the graphics card to set in, but the fans on the graphics card won't turn, and any fans will not turn. So we are trying to get back to the drawing board on this mid-tower and figure it out. Possibly it may involve a motherboard. It may involve a motherboard. It may involve, and Lord willing, it does not involve me spending extra money on parts. But I may have
to. At this rate, I'm thinking, we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Anyways, as far as what I've been doing, besides helping Spennis barely build a computer, he's doing a good job, by the way. I helped him figure some stuff out, like the basics. We got the power supply figured out. What I've been watching, as far as just TV shows and stuff, I watched the new Futurama that rebooted, and it's obvious that the date, or the air date that they did all the recording and stuff on, was around 2020 2021, when crypto was still booming and COVID was still rampant, because pretty much the first couple episodes, it's crypto this, crypto that. Oh, we gotta go get this crypto thing, and it's just kind of to me, it just seems out of touch compared to what Futurama used to be. And yes, the original Futurama was made in the early 2000s, so of course it's gonna feel out of out of like whack a little bit, but I I feel like the new era of reboots, like with the Futurama, it's not great. And the same you could say about Beavis and Butthead on Paramount Plus. But yeah, I also started watching, or I finished Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Personally, I thought it was a cash grab because they ended on a cliffhanger and they don't like get to a specific fight, and they just say to be continued.
Okay. I'm gonna make you pump the brakes here. Realize that this series is a part of a trilogy. The next movie of this is slated to come out within the next year or two. So it does come to a conclusion. It is going to come to a conclusion, but the ending on a cliffhanger is not the worst thing in the world for a movie series that is supposed to be a trilogy.
At least it's not like what they did with other movies where it's like, oh, here's part 1 and then here's part 2.
Okay, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, that is actually good.
Well, I'm saying like with Dune, like I'm not really that interested in that Dune movie. But they're like, oh, here's part 1 and then like part 2 we'll see in a couple of years. I'm just like, yay.
Well, and that couple of years is now counting down to probably about a month.
I don't know. I just feel like if the movie or TV show industry is going to go down a path where it's like, okay, you get part 1 and then part 2, and they like make it a habit for everything, I think it's going to be a little excessive. But that's just me. I did like the movie overall, though. Miles Morales Across the Spider-Verse. I thought it was still a good movie. I just feel like movies in general need to like cool the brakes on the whole to be continued thing, because I felt really upset whenever the Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield came out, and it was mainly just like filler, and then when they get to the Rhino scene, they don't really actually show it, and that's what I wanted to see the whole damn time. But
it was too predictable as soon as they brought Jamie Foxx in.
yeah. Other than that,
it was too predictable. That was my issue with The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
also Andrew Garfield gross.
He
So
wasn't a terrible Spider-Man.
I mean, that old lady in the No Way Home could beg to differ whenever he came through that portal. Oh. She was like, get out of my house!
Oh, the Peter Parker... Oh, his Peter Parker was very, very whiny. But his Spider-Man, the actual Spider-Man on him wasn't horrible.
Yeah. Anyways, I picked up an old game, which I don't know if you can consider a 6-year-old game to be really that old. There was this game that was kind of in a rough launch back with EA back in 2017, and it was part of a series that started exclusively on Xbox, which was Titanfall. And Titanfall 2 came out 3 years later after the first game, and the reason why I say this is Titanfall 2 had a resurgence a couple weeks ago, almost a month ago now, where the servers were restored, and I played the crap out of Titanfall 2, and I hope that this is a sign that maybe they bring Titanfall 3 at some point. We'll see. But man, Titanfall 2 is a lot of fun. Just going into random mechs and destroying things and just running around and gliding is a lot of fun. And also killing grunts and stuff like that is a lot of fun too, but my god. Alright, Spennis. Do you have anything to add?
I will say this, Titanfall 2, whenever I played it, even the story with Titanfall 2 was impressive.
Dude, that
Like,
was freaking amazing. Dude, that reminds me of like whenever Advanced Warfare on Call of Duty, that campaign, that amazed the crap out of me because usually like Call of Duty campaigns are like copy paste, here's some action, now go do it. But that campaign for Titanfall 2, I agree, hands down, baller. It didn't feel like a multiplayer cinema experience like the first game.
Oh man, and Titanfall 2, like, and Respawn then turned that into within the next few more years, the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order series.
And that was freaking amazing too.
Even Jedi Survivor was good.
Yeah, I heard.
Yep. But we get right into the sports here, and I'm going to kick off into the starting lineup with the phrase, and then there were 12. The MLB playoff brackets for the wild card and the teams that have gotten the byes have officially been announced. The 4 teams that will be receiving the byes in the AL are the Baltimore Orioles and the Houston Astros. In the National League, it is the Atlanta Braves and the Los Angeles Dodgers. The best of 3 wild cards begin on October 3rd. And
AKA
here are your
tomorrow.
matchups. Yeah, basically tomorrow upon this, but October 3rd for anyone watching this in back later on time. So where we're at here, the first matchup will be the Rangers and the Rays. The Rangers kind of fell into this spot while the Rays have climbed to after trying to fight with the Orioles for it.
I have a
The
feeling
division.
the Rangers win that one.
I think I might. The Rays right now are the team with momentum.
They do have the pitching.
I think that very well could be a one that's gonna go the distance.
Yeah, pitching is on Ray's side all the time, no matter what.
And the first matchup for this one, the probables for the first game will be Jordan Montgomery and Tyler Glasnow. Game 2, the Rangers have not decided, and Zach Eflin for the Rays. And Game 3 will be, if necessary,
Max Scherzer's arm. Just his arm.
Game 2, or wild card matchup number 2 in the AL. The Toronto Blue Jays versus the Minnesota Twins.
Ooh, Twins are losing that. For sure.
I think the Blue Jays will handle their business here. The first
Yeah.
matchup tomorrow, the first matchup on the 3rd will be Kevin Gausman versus Pablo Lopez.
Isn't it kind of funny that the Twins and the Blue Jays are facing each other and they're like neighbors of each other?
Almost. And the second matchup will be Jose Barrios and Sonny Gray. And of course, Game 3, if necessary, will be on the 5th of October. In the NL, the Diamondbacks and the Brewers. This gets interesting. And the Brewers kick off the series with Corbin Burns.
I mean, who do the Diamondbacks have?
Zach Gallen is pitching Game 2.
Is Merrill Kelly pitching the first game?
Game 1? Brandon Fad? A
Well, yeah.
24-year-old right-hander?
Never heard of him.
Yeah. But Brandon Woodruff is dealing with a shoulder issue. So that might
Surprised.
hurt the Brewers. I think the Diamondbacks could take advantage of that.
Oh, for sure. I think they had the biggest momentum with their rookie Corbin Carroll, and I think the Brewers might slide.
And the last matchup will be an NL East showdown between the Miami Marlins and the Philadelphia Phillies. Kicking off the series will be Jesus Luzardo and Zach Wheeler. And then Aaron Nola will be up against Braxton Garrett as the probables for Game 2.
That's a coin toss right there, because I feel like either or.
The Phillies are the better hitting team, but I'm shocked that the Marlins do not have Sandy Alcantara.
He's been dealing with elbow issues, hasn't he, for a while?
Oh, there's something going on, but I thought Alcantara would have been able to play this along. The winner of the Rangers and Rays. I believe that one.
Is it Duval? No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's Jacksonville, but that's beside the point.
I'm just messing.
But the to be determined matchups, I believe this recedes later, or they have not officially been determined. But the ALDS games will kick off over the weekend. So we will be early on into the ALDS when we talk about this next week. And now we go into the Eastwood segment. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Welcome. Alright. So.
We will be talking more about the good, or at least what I feel was the net good in sports here in another segment, as it will likely be the main piece of the color commentary. The bad in sports this week is that today was officially Black Monday for baseball managers. And as we've known of at least 3 that are not returning to their current positions. Are there any surprises that you see among this bunch, Ruckus?
So, honestly, I see no surprise to any of these because, number one, Gabe Kapler was terrible his first year coaching with the Phillies, and then he went to the Giants, and then I guess instantly won 100+ games with the Giants, right? Or was it after his second year with the Giants that he won 100 games and they won the West or whatever, the NL West?
Kapler was a surging manager.
I think part of it was the talent that they had with the Giants, because the Giants had semi-decent talent, but it wasn't over the hump. Like, they passed on Correa and they passed on Judge. and for Correa, it was a health issue with his leg, which I don't think that mattered in the long run because the Twins are still in playoff contention. And, I mean, Correa kind of had an off year, I guess, from people's standards of him. But either way, I think Kapler needs a reset somewhere. And, I don't know. That one was kind of a surprise. I think Kapler was a little bit of a surprise, but Nevin, not a fucking surprise at all. Seeing that whole franchise has been in the dumps. And yeah, I was thinking, oh, they could crawl out of this like Phoenix in the ashes with Ohtani doing what he did, but then he went out of order, and that ride was not applicable or suitable. And Buck Showalter's time with the New York Mets just that one is a hard pill to swallow for Showalter.
The game has passed Buck by. I believe the game of baseball has passed him by. Phil Nevin, I saw that one coming a mile away. Gabe Kapler is a surprise because the Giants were still 79 and 83. They weren't horrid.
And then Bruce Bochy, which is kind of in the same. Isn't Bruce Bochy almost as old as Buck Showalter? Like, aren't they about the same age?
I mean, Bochy. I think there's a few differences in Bochy's game.
Right. I wasn't saying that Bochy should be fired. Obviously, he's being successful, but I was just kind of saying on an age range that they were both about the same age.
But Bochy, I think the biggest difference with him is that I think he's a more adaptable manager to deal with. Buck knows how to metagame the rules. But I think that Bochy, I think, is just like a more adaptable manager.
Yeah.
To how his team plays, to how he adjusts.
I think also the amount of talent and money that was there probably didn't do wonders for.
It helps. It's not what matters, but it helps.
All right. Do we want to go into our ugly?
I know. I just went right into a John Cena lyric reference. Monetary status is not what matters, but it helps. But
I can't see him, so it doesn't matter.
The ugly this week was some very, very close games in the NFL having to come down to very, very questionable officiating calls. However, we're not going to go too deep into details right now because some of this will get broken down into our very next segment, The High Heat. We're going to go into the film room after
Okay,
this
yeah. That's good. All right. So, do you want me to read this first one for the High Heat?
All right. Yep.
All right, so this is between the Bills and Dolphins, as the Bills went 48 and the Dolphins went to 20. Have the Bills finally made the statement needed to be back in the contendership for the Super Bowl once again?
Message sent. And I, from a personal perspective, would say message received.
But, there is a big but here. Tre'Davious White is down with a torn Achilles. Does this affect their secondary much? Because they still have to have Poyer be healthy. Because he was a big effect. Sorry.
You still have Jordan Poyer. You still have Micah Hyde.
But are they
does
going to
it
stay
limit-
healthy?
Does it hurt them? I think it hurts. But I think it hurts more on the corner side that Tre'Davious White is injured.
Yeah.
But I think offensively, message sent, heard loud and clear.
Well, the Dolphins secondary isn't the greatest like the Jets though either, so
Well,
makes that and then you also have to consider the Dolphins.
The Dolphins secondary is also playing without Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah. They still have Xavier Howard though.
They still have Xavier Howard, but I think the Bills win more games defensively with their linebacking core.
That and it also helps to have it also just helps to have people open and stuff too, because Diggs had a big game. And then for the Dolphins, their main weapon, which is Achan, besides Tyreek and Waddle, it's the Bills just kind of stomped on them after that, especially with those interceptions. All right, are we ready for the next one?
Because Tua in this one turned into Tua turned the ball over.
What can we say is you're welcome. Sorry.
All right, the next one here. The Houston Texans defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers 30-6. The real question here. Mike Tomlin said in his press conference that changes were needed to be made. The question is, what needs to be changed? Especially on the offensive side of the ball in Pittsburgh.
Matt Canada. I just thought of that, so if it sounds stupid, that's because
I was thinking of that whole we're in that South Park thing of blaming Canada.
Yeah. Except for it's not some Karen named Kyle's mom.
Oh, we know what she is.
Yep. And we're not gonna repeat it on here because we're well, Kyle's mom's a big fit.
Oh my!
I love how you just started that. All right. In all seriousness, I think for Pittsburgh, you don't. I feel like Warren did okay, at least on fantasy. I kind of don't look at the Steelers right now because here's the bottom line: the Steelers' offense needs to develop more. Their defense is light years ahead of their offense.
Oh, the offense is just not doing anything, and the Kenny Pickett getting hurt didn't help much either.
Yeah.
But just that offense has ran right into a big ol' brick wall.
It looks like they're gonna need a terrible towel to clean up all the blood and sweat.
Well, another offense that has run into a brick wall. The Cincinnati Bengals. Tennessee 27, Cincinnati 3. Is it time for the Bengals to hit the panic button?
Nope. They need to definitely adjust things on offense. They looked fairly decent a week prior, though, I believe, against, God damn it, why is it blanking on my mind right now? But, like, the team that they faced last week. Yeah, the Rams. They did decent against the Rams. I just think they need to adjust more, and obviously their O-line needs to be better with Burrow because he hasn't had the time to throw the ball, and whenever he does throw it, it either doesn't get out of his hand proper, or he just gets sacked. Like, he just doesn't have time. That and the receivers need to do better with their routes too. It's kind of like the syndrome that the Chiefs had back when Tyreek was on the team and Kelsey was there, and then when Tyreek was trying to get more snaps, it was, or not more snaps, but like just more passes to him. It like suffered for the offense as a whole for the Chiefs. So maybe there's like something with Jamar that needs to be figured out. T. Higgins maybe needs to figure some stuff out. Tyler Boyd might need to figure some stuff out. It's like a whole thing, but I don't think there needs to be a panic button for the Bengals. I think they'll eventually figure it out. Because we probably said the same thing years ago with the Patriots and Tom Brady. And being like, oh, Patriots are not looking good there, Jeff. And then Jeff is like, oh, they'll come back. And then rest assured, they like come back at the very last minute and then go to the freaking Super Bowl that year anyways. So I think it's no time to panic. Point
well,
being.
here's where I'm at. I think I'm going to say otherwise. You don't really have an offensive line. Joe Burrow has a calf injury. T. Higgins with a rib injury. Joe Mixon not playing up to the snuff that he usually is. Jamar Chase having to complain that he's always open. And ultimately, you're at a 1-3 record as the Cincinnati Bengals, which is currently probably just good enough to be sitting in last place.
Also,
in the division.
Can I add something really quick? Burrow's rookie year, he tore his ACL because he wasn't getting protected very well.
Point taken. So ultimately, at this point, I think if you're the Cincinnati Bengals and Zach Taylor, you are pounding the alarm, as Nicki Minaj would tell you in a song title. In Pound the Alarm.
Still better than Cardi B. Anyways, sorry.
Who cares?
Amen.
But now we're getting to the games where some questionable calls may have come into play.
Go with your team
Eagles
first.
34,
yep.
Commanders 31 in overtime.
I picked the Commanders to win that game, and I was like, oh, they might actually do it. They're coming back. And then I was like, oh. I was like, damn. I was really hoping the Commanders could do this.
Is this result more of a positive for the Eagles, who remain undefeated, or the Commanders in the display that they show? Where do you see the positive on this?
I think the Commanders had a good fight near the end there to maybe win more games. For
the record, Terry McLaurin caught that ball. Terry McLaurin caught that ball. The one that they called back, or the one that they confirmed that he was out of bounds. No, there was space between his toe and that line, and it was very, very apparent. Terry McLaurin caught that ball. The refs hosed him. There were a couple of different things where they got hosed. But then there were a couple of things that they were making up for on that. But that catch would have prevented Tressway from having his worst punt of the day, which then gave the field position that the Eagles had in order to win the game. And this game probably would either end in the Commanders' favor or as a draw. but also the mishandling of third down at that point. They nearly mitigated the bad punt. So I think there were more positives for the Commanders and how resilient they can be. And how much they are improving, especially on the offensive side of the ball, with Eric Bieniemy coaching.
Yep, I think Eric Bieniemy is doing a hell of a job over there. But yeah, the Eagles, they got the last leg.
Baby steps. Ultimately, baby steps in the right direction.
All right, let's get to the last
here.
one. Oh my God.
We are getting right to it. We are getting right to it. Chiefs 23, Jets 20. I know as much as you want to skip this.
I'm not saying I want to skip this. I was gonna start it off.
Yeah. Is this game more of a situation of the Jets played well and lost, or the Chiefs played poorly and won?
I think a bad officiating on both sides because the refs played the ball both ways on both teams. I feel like they need to look back on that play with this.
That was not a hold.
No, so the one where the safety happened. Part of me feels like they could have done that at the one. I don't know if that was necessarily a safety due to a face mask or whatever. Part of me is like skeptical on that, but at the same time, it was 2 points versus 3 or 7. But so the whole Jawan Taylor thing, I'm not that upset about. Yes, Chiefs fans had the right to be upset about Jawan Taylor with all these goddamn holding calls and these other calls
all
were
the false starts and illegal formations. Yes, the Eagles are getting them too. On the one tush push, they got away with a blatant false start.
But here's the thing. If yes, they'll eventually get it adjusted. We've had growing pains before in the game. Yes, it's annoying. Yes, it causes more blood pressure to fuse up. But I mean, we're still leading AFC West. We're still doing things good. It's just that we need to adjust. We have young guys. We have new guys because the left tackle we had before decided to take less money and go to the dark side over at Cincinnati. And then we had to add another guy because Andrew Wiley decided to go to the Commanders, which is fine. Good for him. But we had to move on, and with that, there's some evolution and growing pains that has to happen. And yes, Jawan Taylor was rated to be like the best tackle or whatever, but he was playing for a team that wasn't really in the eye of many like it is with the Chiefs. And the Chiefs are looked upon kind of like the Patriots were whenever that dynasty was started. And now we see what happened when your team is doing really well and everyone's annoyed because they don't want to see you in the Super Bowl every year or in contention every year.
Unless you're a Swiftie.
Who gives a shit? I don't care about that whole thing. I get it. They're together, but Jesus Christ. That Ticketmaster site is going to be down the shitter whenever playoff tickets come out for the Chiefs. I swear to God. Have you seen that meme where it's like Taylor's pointing at like whenever Chiefs playoff tickets come on sale? It's just her pointing. Dude, you know what's
those opportunities for those seats are never ever getting back together with the Chiefs fans. It's gonna be all Swifties.
I think it's kind of funny how they like kind of lightly were like, oh, there's Taylor, and then also there's Ryan Reynolds who did Deadpool, and then Hugh Jackman that did Wolverine, and no one bats a goddamn eye. And they're like, oh, there's Tay-Tay, and it's just like, okay, cool. awesome.
Okay, the Ryan Reynolds thing's cool, but I'm like, he's owning also a rising team in Wrexham.
You know what boggles my mind? So they were talking about Aaron Rodgers and how he could possibly come back week 7. I was like, bullshit. There is no way he's coming back week 7 on a fucking jelly leg. There's no way. Unless sports medicine has like evolved over the years, there is no way Aaron Rodgers comes back week 7 that healthy. Is he gonna like freaking come on the field and like hop on one leg while like trying to do that? Is he gonna have like is he gonna become like a mech? Like is he secretly that Fox football robot football man that's just gonna like come out of nowhere? Like what the hell? Either the sports announcers are being dumb, like always, or they're being serious and being like, "Oh, he could possibly start week 7." There's no way in hell.
He's trying to be the $6 million man about 9 times over.
Hopefully, he doesn't start a scheme in Pennsylvania like another quarterback did.
I guess the whole point I was trying to make with that is that they could rebuild him. We have the technology.
And then hits the computer a couple times.
I think my reference just sailed over your head.
Oh.
I was going with the whole Lee Major $6 million man.
Okay.
And of course, with the amount of money that Aaron Rodgers makes, it's like, oh, he's trying to be the $6 million man about 8 or 9 times over.
Maybe it's the ayahuasca talking. I don't know, but either way, good lord. All right, let's go into the next segment before I.
All right, the color commentary, where, yeah, we are gonna kind of break down our thoughts on what ESPN Plus did yesterday with the London game at Wembley Stadium.
So, we're calling this TV gimmicks because, in my opinion, I don't know if everybody's opinion is like this, but the Sunday football implementation of augmented reality, which is short for AR, and being locked to a paywall through Disney Plus. Should sports networks implement more of this? Should augmented reality stay put where it is? Like, for example, when you see the first down line, which is yellow, that's augmented reality. When you see the blow up of the scoreboard and whatever and the stats that they show at the beginning, where they show the two teams and the stats and whatever for the half and whatever, that's augmented reality as well. When you see the players in on Sunday Night Football, when they're showing their little thing and it shows them like moving, that's also technically augmented reality. Things like that. I think that should stay. But should the events like Sunday Football become a regular thing? That I can see that being a good thing, like especially like if you have little kids involved, like if you have like little kids with you and you don't want them to like, if you're like afraid that they're gonna see something that or whatever, or if you want them to be familiarized with football, that would be a good thing. But I think yes, people can buy Disney Plus and whatever and get the ad version, or if you're smart enough, you could probably find a feed somewhere on a free website that's probably sketchy. But I don't know if everyone's willing to get Disney Plus. And for me, I have it through my family, but I watched it and I was like, okay, there's some funniness to this. Like, yes, they have Slinky Dog and whatnot. Yes, they have like other cool little things that they did, but I still feel like it should have been something that was like a TV gimmick where you put it like on like ESPNU or like Disney XD or something like that. Like, and I also understand not everyone has cable, but like, if you're gonna put that on mainstream media, like, do something where everyone can see it and not just the people that pay for subscriptions. Because if you want to get exposure,
Well,
you try to.
people have shifted to that subscription mold and have ditched the dish or the box. People have started to go in that general direction. That's the first thing and the first reason why them putting it on Disney Plus and ESPN Plus is logical. Second of all, were we the target demographic that really needed to be watching the Fun Day football?
No.
Not really.
I still thought it was funny whenever they showed Slinky dog whenever they're doing like the yards and stuff. But
that
also
Slinky Dog's the chain gang. That Slinky Dog was the chain gang. They mentioned stuff with Ham and talking about Pizza Planet and
I think it was funny also when like they would show the AR players, they would like be like like doing like the physics glitches like in video games where like there's like a bunch of objects running into each other. I thought that was funny.
or the special effects where they had the shoes on, where they had the path of the shoes on fire and yeah, there were things that made it great. There were things that made it appealing and brilliant and very, very lively to watch.
There needs to be a
And
mobile game.
And ultimately even listen to, with some of the commentary talking about he's running around like there's a snake in his boot and all that.
I mean, they did make a comment later in the show about how he had a snake, how Woody had a snake in his boot. My favorite was when is something excuse me, we'll get into a later thing in the stud and dud. But personally, yeah, I get what they were doing. But in a devil's advocate thing, should we do more with augmented reality? I think if it works, sure, but we need to like improve on it. I think if anything, we should like lace it in a way where it was kind of like that Nickelodeon broadcast, but with
they're
like
doing the NFL Slime Time stuff anyway. Like they do NFL Slime Time. They've got all the stuff with SpongeBob and Patrick and.
But instead of that, do Toy Story with it, and then like put more effort towards like the animations like they did, but also make it to where you don't have like the cartoony players that are just like going into space. Because that's why I was thinking that it was kind of ridiculous that they did that much with the augmented reality with it.
What with doing the whole setting of Andy's room?
No. The players that look like bobbleheads that were implemented as the players themselves that were on the field, I feel like was a little bit like much. I feel like it would have been better if they like still kept the arena feel, but then they also did like the live feed of the players playing.
What else would you have done with that? Like doing like the electric football players that obviously.
So keep the feed of the football field, but with everything else surrounding it, you would have like Andy's room and whatnot. It would just be that instead of like the like foosball like players that are colliding against each other, just have the live feed surrounding that, like a green screen almost. It probably
so
wouldn't
you're
look
wanting the actual live players involved with it.
Yes.
I think that the animation stuff.
What if they did like a holographic thing like in Star Wars?
Oh, and I'm actually saying just being able to do that with the animated players was actually brilliant. Like, to be able to have all of that information be captured in real time, to do that and have the right rendering and frames work out for every single motion, there is an element of brilliance that Disney brings to the table for it. And do I think it has its place? Yes, because they explain stuff to kids in a way that how you can understand football as a kid trying to grow up and understand it.
I also agree with that, as far
Like,
as the rules and stuff.
You're teaching kids about football. You're helping them get an understanding. And if they need to do stuff with animations and effects and like that to kind of draw their attention to it, rather than just using the live action players, as the great Candle and Beauty of the Beast would say, be our guest. Pretty much be my guest. Because I think that events like this should be a thing. They should happen a little more often. I think that trying to develop something around roughly like either a Thanksgiving type build would be interesting. Playoff time where wild card playoffs and ESPN gets like a network of their game. Have the live action stuff be on ESPN if you want the actual adult feed, or if you want the kid feed, you can put that on Disney Plus or ESPN Plus, because
That's why
the family coverage is going to go in that said direction.
I probably should have said something about that too. I kind of wanted there to be an easy way to switch between them, which you just said, and that would have been nice to have rather than just the augmented reality thing. That's why I said. That's why I was kind of
it's hard when you were on mobile. It's hard when you were on mobile and you're like, oh, you don't have access to the actual feed of the game.
Well, I was on desktop too, and it was still being weird. I was just like, whatever. I'll just listen to the commentary, because I was playing a game in the background anyways. So like, I was just kind of like, okay, well, I'll just have it in the background. Like, it wasn't that big of a deal, but I was just thinking like in terms of if someone that was wanting to watch the game didn't want to spend that extra money, then that would have been a deterrent.
Oh, yeah. I get that. And that's just where I think there's room for improvement with this. But this is an amazing starting point for where I think ESPN and Disney could go.
Invest more in it.
Like, I think they could put a little more into it and have it be something that could be effective down the line. Mm-hmm. It's a sign of what possibly could come. And with that said, now that we've gone through the previous and past games, let's get right into some of the games that are going on next week.
Also, I'm still number 1 by 1.
Yeah, I caught up quite effectively.
I'm gonna embrace it while I still can. Woohoo! So, right. Go ahead.
The first game that we have will be for a single point. And it is the Michigan Wolverines versus the Minnesota Golden Gophers in the battle for the Little Brown Jug.
Would the little brown jug being a metaphor for moonshine, or is this a different little brown jug?
I think this is more so talking about water, but
Oh, okay.
like a water jug.
Okay. I'm gonna say Michigan against Minnesota.
I also am taking the Michigan Wolverines. For 1 point, the Georgia Bulldogs versus the Kentucky Wildcats.
I think the Georgia Bulldogs are gonna be absolute dogs. God damn it, you didn't do it with me.
I knew where you were going with that.
Aw. I'm sad now.
Georgia had a little bit of a scare against Auburn. Auburn played them tough. But I gotta go with the Bulldogs. I gotta go with the Bulldogs over the Wildcats in this case. The next one for a single point. Syracuse versus North Carolina.
I'm taking Syracuse.
Tar Heel taking North Carolina. And because both of these teams are ranked in the top 20, this one would have been worth 2. But I've decided to make it worth 3. The Red River Shootout between Oklahoma and Texas.
Dude, if Oklahoma doesn't win this, there's gonna be some fighting words. I'm gonna say is 2 words though to those fighting words. Boomer Sooner. I'm taking Oklahoma.
I am going with the team that, number 1, likely will be at home for this one. And then number 2, the team that also carries the higher rank.
Well, isn't the Red River Shootout always at the Cotton Bowl though?
I think it's at the Cotton Bowl, but I think Texas is at home, technically.
Because in a sense, like, it's at the Texas fair anyways. So that's why I was like, wait, does it really matter?
Yeah, but it's number 12 Oklahoma versus number 3 Texas. And my very next 2 words that I'm going to say at this point are hook. I'm taking Texas.
I mean, screw you. Boomer Sooner. Boomer Sooner. Boomer Sooner. Boomer Sooner.
We could have taken games that we definitely did not pick this week was LSU and Missouri, because no matter what, we would be saying
Go Tigers.
And then Notre Dame and Louisville. I just wasn't wanting to put another Golden Domers game in there, even with Louisville ranked 25th.
What are you trying to say there? No, I'm just kidding. Let's
So
move
now
on.
we move on to week 5 of the NFL.
Such a hater. Jaguars versus Bills. I picked the Bills.
Buffalo. I'm going with Buffalo.
Here we go, Buffalo.
For 1 point, Texans Falcons.
I'm going Texans. That's the one Texan I'm going for.
I also am going with Houston. I think Houston right now is surging.
And that Artie Smith mustache is going to be singed. God, I hate Artie Smith.
Now we're to a trio of 2-pointers. Colts Titans. This game is at Lucas Oil Stadium.
I still think the Titans are going to knock the pants off the Colts. The Colts are still without Anthony Richardson, right? With the concussion protocol?
No, he cleared protocol and played last week. He cleared protocol. He's back.
I'm going with the underdog in the Titans. So I'm just going to stick with my guns.
I am taking the Indianapolis Colts here. The Dallas Cowboys and San Francisco 49ers.
I'm going with the 49ers because CMC and company are going to come down and take on the Cowboys at high noon, and McCree is going to take them out. And
Well, it's it's going to be an 8:20 Sunday nighter game at home, so it really will be like 5 o'clock in San Fran.
Rip Jimmy Buffett. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Well, Jimmy Buffett was actually just the feature in that.
Anyways, 49ers.
That song was actually done by Alan Jackson.
God damn it.
But at least we asked the question, what would Jimmy Buffett do? What is your wild card lock this week? So you can lock in one team out of games that we did not pick. Plus 2 points if you're right, but you lose one if you're wrong. Who are you locking down for this week?
So it's week 5, right? So yep. I think you start first.
Well, here are the games that you have to choose from. You have Bears Commanders, Saints Patriots, Panthers Lions, Dolphins Giants, Bengals Cardinals, Eagles Rams, Jets Broncos, Chiefs Vikings, although I think you kind of playing the Chiefs might be a little too easy, and Packers Raiders. And I will say right now, I am torn between 2 options. I am looking at possibly either locking in the Lions or locking in the Eagles.
I'm gonna say Rams beat the Eagles at SoFi.
Oh.
Puka Nakua. I think that's how you say it. Nakua and Rams beat the Eagles. And then yeah. Because Stafford is still there and still doing his thing.
I believe that I am.
And they won in overtime too.
I think in a real sense, I think I'm going to go with, despite Carolina making it interesting, Detroit continues. I think for this case, I may do something different in my eliminator, but I'm going to say I'm going to take Detroit continuing to roll in victory over Carolina. I am taking the Lions over the Panthers. And now, the next one that we have is a wild card over-under. So, you cannot use any of the games that we have already done. In your case, you cannot use the Rams and Eagles for your over-under. And I cannot use the Lions and Panthers. So the question is, which game are you thinking for your over-under?
I'm thinking Packers Raiders.
Okay. Packers Raiders. The current over-under as of time of recording is 44 and a half.
So I just need to do... Oh, you already got it.
So, out of that set, do you think the score will be over or under that number?
I think it's going to be under.
So taking the under. I think for me, I've got a couple of fun ones to pick from. I am going to go with the Bears Commanders. All right, and don't forget you got to put the game here. So you said
Oh, my bad.
Which
so
one?
Packers Raiders.
Oh, you said Packers Raiders. All right.
And then, do you want me to start off my stud and dud while you do that?
I am going to take a slight over in the Commanders-Bears matchup. I'm going to take the over. And that over is also at 44 and a half. Go ahead and start the stud and dud.
Alright, so my stud is going to be Bobby Witt Jr. for becoming the first Kansas City Royals player in franchise history to have a 30 for 30 season, which means he had 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases in a season. Congrats to Bobby Witt and the Royals organization. And then an honorable mention for stud is Caden Ellis on Fun Day Football comparing Arthur Smith, head coach, to Emperor Zurg. Yes, I did it. And then my dud is going to be Robert Saleh for getting a penalty for pretty much just chewing out the ref over a dumb call when he should have kept his cool. And honestly, I don't blame him, because whenever I'm raging in Call of Duty or any other game, I usually get pretty animated too. But, you know, I don't put it on a person that has to sleep at night thinking, maybe, just maybe, this guy should quit yelling at me that gets paid more than me. Just a thought. Anyways, go ahead, Spence.
All right, my stud this week. I have an honorable mention going to Miguel Cabrera for borrowing Spencer Torkelson's glove after fielding a grounder in his last game and giving it back to him autographed. But my stud this week goes to Los Angeles Chargers defensive end Khalil Mack for his 6-sack performance against the Las Vegas Raiders.
He better make a mean mac and cheese.
And my dud this week was kind of very, very heartbreaking to all of a sudden hear this. But Kurt Schilling is definitely not in favor with the Wakefield family anymore. My dud goes to Kurt Schilling for speaking out of turn about Red Sox teammate Tim Wakefield's brain cancer prognosis, of which he recently passed away.
Rest in peace.
Passed away from that. And incredible that he was supposed to be a position player that ultimately became a pitcher and a World Series champion.
On a lighter note, I feel like for me, the main reason I knew Tim Wakefield was because of his knuckleball and how legendary that was. Even though the knuckleball was notoriously known to be a big hitter when it came to hitting it out the yard, but he still made himself famous doing the knuckleball and whatnot, even though it was such a good ball to hit. I mean, R.A. Dickey had the same knuckleball approach too, but Tim Wakefield was, in my opinion, was known for the knuckleball, and I think he did a really good job, even though sometimes you get the ball hit out of the park on you. It's gonna happen no matter what pitch you use. But rest in peace, Tim Wakefield, and my condolences to the Wakefield family.
Yes, I definitely feel for that because I, as a fan, understood. Wakefield is an integral part of championship culture in Boston, even though he had a long career because of his knuckleball. And I just hate that it was one of his own former teammates that ultimately outed this without permission.
I feel like Kurt Schilling is kind of a loose cannon, though, to be honest.
He really is. He really is. Can throw a ball well, but not necessarily the best in terms of knowing when to do it and when not. Simple as that.
You want me to take it out?
Yep, take us out.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to our awesome sports podcast, Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast. I am Ruckus.
And I'm Ruckus and The Menace.
And we will see you in the next episode, probably Tuesday, or next Tuesday, I should say. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Like the video if you like the video. Comment whatever you want to comment. Subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you later on.
Deuces.
Deuces.
Yep.